Hi, and welcome to July 2024. Wow, it's July already. Time is flying. And this month and the next couple months are going to be pretty interesting months because of the buildup and the illumination of the cycles that we're entering into. Okay, so let's talk about July first, and I'm going to mention a little bit about August and September that you may want to consider in July because of the connection, or this is kind of like, in a sense, a foundation to start to prepare, think about, build, and intend for the next couple of months, how you want to navigate through them, but also paying attention to kind of, the themes that show up for you this month and how that's going to relate and play out in the next couple of months for you. Okay, so let's talk about July. So July is a month number vibration of 7, and it's also a number vibration in this global cycle of 8 of 6. So the prominent number vibrations for this month are 7 and 6. So we had 6 last month as well in June. And so let's go over 6. And you might find that the themes that show up for you might be a little bit different now that we're merging with the 7 vibration in preparation for the next 2 months, as well as your own personal cycle. It will depend too. Okay, so 7, let's talk about 7. We'll go back to 6. So 7 really represents it's an inner cycle of inviting us to go really within ourselves and study ourselves, self-discover. It's an inner journey, an inner quest, asking, who am I? And what is my own truth? What is my personal truth? And then from that essence of, and even if you know yourself really well, even if you've been doing a lot of work for a long time on yourself and you feel like you know yourself well, we are evolving so rapidly right now that there's just a whole new essence of ourselves that is being birthed. So it could be just going in again with just an openness and a curiosity that of just kind of what wants to come through, what wants to come forth, who do we want to be, but also who are we at our deepest essence, our soul essence, and what wants to really start to express and come forth. If you feel like you're really, a lot has been changing in your life and you feel like there's just been a lot of chaos or a lot of turbulence, or you feel like there's been a lot of just changes or endings or just in between. There could be not really a lot that's changed overtly in our lives, but there could be, again, with these high frequencies coming in, it could be just this feeling like I kind of don't have a sense of who I am now, kind of in these times or in this life where everything just feels different. So who am I in that space of everything feels different? So invitation for this month is to really carve aside some time to be by yourself, to go within or have some quiet time, and a great month to just meditate on who am I, and just, really just kind of meditating or just asking the question throughout your day, who am I, and just see what kind of comes forth. Journaling is this is a great month for journaling because, again, as we journal or as we ponder, and if you don't like journaling, anything, just even spending time out, in nature or by the water, again, just sitting quiet. If it's not comfortable for you outside, just, again, anywhere that feels calm and peaceful if possible, so that you can get into a sense of calm, so you can go within and really start to hear that inner whisper, that inner voice of the soul that wants to come forth. What is our own truth? And so, this is really important and will be important coming up into the next couple of months too, because we're redefining and we're coming into a whole new consciousness of power, because we're coming into the activation of the consciousness of the power of love, which is the heart power. So this is a really good time to ask, like, what is my own unique truth? And, what is my own north? What is my true north? What am I really here for? And I don't mean necessarily there has to be some major thing or purpose that needs to be figured out. Our highest purpose is really discovering ourselves. Who are we? And what needs to potentially heal, release, let go, so that we can step into more empowerment. And the more we do actually spend time on healing ourselves, the more we actually free up time to potentially, then offer our gifts and abilities. We're not all here to do certain things, kind of expressing our service through the world. Sometimes we're here to do it in our family. Sometimes we're here to do it in specific relationships. Sometimes we're here to do it by holding a presence, or supporting other people that are doing different things. So again, it's not about necessarily trying to figure out what I want to do. It's about figuring out, really just what inspires me and what really uplifts me, and what is my own personal truth, as in what really resonates with me, and what do I really feel is in alignment for me. And that could be values, that could be beliefs, but it's really about one's own inner sense of self. So the more we know our true sense and essence of self, the more we're able to stay steady and stable when we've got a whole bunch of other energies, currents, pulls, beliefs that are trying to pull us out of that, like into somebody else's truth, as an example. Because it's said that there's, maybe one huge truth, as in love, truth of love. But really it's, from our consciousness of honoring our own individuation, that means that we in essence have our own truth, because we have our own blueprint. So the analogy is the painting. We're all here to contribute to this painting, and that means that we all have our own inner gifts and abilities in order to contribute to that. So that could be, we have our different paintbrush. Some are bigger, some are smaller, not better or worse, not, right or wrong. It's all just, how am I here to contribute? What's my experience here in this earth school, this incarnation for me? Sometimes a soul chooses to have a rest incarnation. Sometimes a soul is here again to hold a presence. So it's really about discovering, what really feels in alignment with me, and then how am I contributing to this painting? So if we're all the same and we all have the same truths, or all have the same, kind of agreements on things, then we won't always be able to contribute to the complexity of this choreography of this huge picture. The other important element of this is that when we know our own truth, when we know what really resonates with us and feels in alignment with for us, then we can hold steady, without judgment, an opportunity to allow others to be in their own truth too, and their own, giving freedom to wherever somebody else is. And truly, that's how we then step into more of this unity consciousness. But we have to start from the microcosm, macrocosm perspective. We need to start within our own personal essence first, of what is our own personal truth. So this is a month that's going to be calling us to kind of dive in, and it's really, again, a real month to go within and really self-discover, to transform anything, alchemize anything that is really no longer serving. Sometimes, this is a highly transformational month. 7 is one of the most transformational numbers. And really what it's asking is, where am I not free? Where do I feel victimized? Where do I feel injustice? Where do I feel I'm not in alignment? How am I viewing and perceiving the world? Is this bringing me into more separation consciousness, or is this helping me to come more into my heart, into more love? And if it isn't helping me to come into more love, more unification, then what do I need to potentially understand or see, showing me, asking gently and lovely, show me my beliefs or perceptions that are keeping me in that separation? What aspects of my personality do I need to honor, love, give some attention to, so that they can be integrated back within, so that I can come back into a sense more of wholeness? This is the number. So what needs to be alchemized in order to come into that? So it's considered really transformational. I'll give an example. Oftentimes we can feel victimized by something, and this doesn't mean that an action or an injustice hasn't happened. It means that we want to actually alchemize that, right? So why do we want to alchemize that? Because if we stay in that consciousness of injustice, or that consciousness of lack, or consciousness of fear, or consciousness of whatever it is, then we cannot that element of us cannot come into unification with our heart. And so that keeps us into separation. Not only are we going to help contribute to the greater whole and the collective, but it helps us come into personally more peace, more love, more unconditional love, but just even more gentleness, more acceptance, and that compassion. And that births so many things like kindness, like understanding, etc. So forgiveness, 7 is often shows up with the number 7 too. And again, forgiveness, I find, for coming into an alignment or mastery or a presence of a specific soul quality. Each soul quality is different. Forgiveness often, in my personal experience and witness, is we can't go directly into forgiveness, because true forgiveness at an energetic level needs to be really alchemized so that the energy of it is also completely transmuted or transformed. And that often will happen through a consciousness of understanding. So when we start to be able to step back and ask, this event happened, or this experience happened, or this injustice happened, this is how I feel about it. When I can move the energies of how I feel about it, then that opens up space of minimum neutrality for me, where I can then start to look at things from different perspectives. And I can start to understand, well, how did I grow because of that experience? What did I learn? Who did I become because of that? Am I more strong? Am I more compassionate? Do I have more boundaries now? 7 is also about boundaries. Ultimately, in coming into this, new consciousness, setting up boundaries without disconnecting from the heart. That's not. We're all in a learning curve with that, because that's not super easy or natural for us, because we set up boundaries to protect, but then we disconnect. So coming from this perspective, unshakably being able to really come into a sense of understanding means that I can establish my boundaries. I've learned something, I accept and I understand something, that doesn't mean I'm going to allow certain energies in, or I'm not going to contribute to specific things because I have a different understanding. But I can also see why this showed up, and that blesses us with freedom. And then we can give freedom to, to be free of that experience. Again, it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean it wasn't an injustice. It doesn't mean it wasn't, unkind or even violent in some cases, or whatever it was. It just means that we want to bless ourselves with this beautiful gift of, first and foremost, trying to allow ourselves to understand it, to see it from a different perspective. And then forgiveness, interestingly, naturally and organically, just starts to kind of birth. So that's the 7, the 7. And I'm not saying that something like with forgiveness is going to come up, but just in our inner quest, going inward, when we really start to ask, like, where am I not shining my light, or where am I not able to express my truth? Oftentimes it can be because we're still caught in a wound, or we're still caught in something that we need to work through, or to let go of. But we can't just say, I want to let go of it, or I want to forgive it. Sometimes possibly we can, but generally there's an alchemy, because that's the whole point of why something showed up. There's a gift in it. There's the transformation. Without that process of that transformation, we wouldn't then end up birthing the gift. And the gift, again, is always a soul quality of some sort. So again, it's our choice, and there's no time frame of that. So don't feel pressured or rushed to get it or to understand it. This month is just a beautiful month to just really start to kind of, again, explore, what am I holding on to, and what is tethering me and keeping me in from experiencing more love, more expression, expressing my truth, or expressing myself, my whole, kind of creative being. And this ties us into the 6. So the 6 and 7, both reflect justice in different ways. So justice could be potentially a theme, and that could, again, with the 8 cycle playing out in the collective, we might start being more sensitive to injustice. How can we start to create more justice, more equality, more compassion for all beings? Again, not coming from a place of a consciousness of anger or frustration, though. We need to learn how to alchemize that from an energetic frequency perspective, because otherwise we're contributing to the same, kind of the same energy. So again, doing the inner transformation, that's how we, the microcosm, macrocosm, that's how we then can truly create a difference in the outer. So the 6 and 7, so there could be, themes around that, around justice. And then the 6 is also around responsibility, relationships. Could be family. It could be going back to, how's my dynamic of my family, or where am I operating from or attracting, because I'm still operating from something maybe that, that I've been conditioned with, and is that still serving me? What am I responsible for? Am I too responsible for some things? Am I in codependency here, or am I needing to take on more responsibility? Where am I not expressing myself and shining my light? And the 6 is interesting because it also represents self-esteem and immune system. And it also represents creative expression. So we at our root are creative beings. We are creative beings, and that's what gives us the actual power to create our reality at its most simplest root. So, it's interesting because self-esteem means I believe in myself to be able to follow my own true north. I got to know what my true north is. So that's the 7, and that's the power of the 6 and 7 coming together this month. I want to know what my own true north is. And then in that, I will raise my self esteem. I will feel more able to hold my own north, even if it's different than others, even if other people don't see it, understand it, or support it. I'll be able to hold that because I'm not just, it could change my beliefs, but I can feel the difference when I've connected to my own true inner north in a deep way. And that then raises my self-esteem, and I can then feel belief in myself to express myself. The connection between self-esteem and the immune system, because immune system is also part of the 6. When we aren't expressing ourselves or able to express ourselves, that can then suppress our immune system. And when our immune system is suppressed, we're more susceptible to other things. We're more susceptible to energies. We're more susceptible to bacteria, viruses, things like that. So it's all connected. From this perspective, it's all connected. So this month is an amazing month to start to really be aware of, like, who am I first and foremost within myself? Who am I in my relationships? Who do I want to be in my relationships? Coming from this strong, steady center of my own true north. What does that mean? And then moving forward into the next couple months. So 8 is going to be highlighted with the 8 number, because whatever number, so to keep this in mind if you're following your own personal cycle too. So whatever number we are in the month, if it falls on our personal cycle number, it's enhanced that month, which means the themes that are showing up collectively, or the themes that are potentially ready to show up or show up in order for transformation or evolution or illumination, are going to be accentuated or kind of showing up a little bit stronger, illuminating a little bit more through that month. So for example, if you're in a 7 cycle, July will enhance the themes that are showing up for you or for what your soul's working on in this 7-year cycle. So 8, because it's the global, it's going to be highlighted in August. And then 9, everybody's cycle is always highlighted additionally in September, because September represents the 9. So the next couple months are going to be a little bit more illuminated. This doesn't mean it's bad. Nothing to fear. It doesn't mean it's going to be more intense. It could be, depending on what starts to, what's ready to evolve, what's ready to shake up, what's ready to start to, again, be illuminated. It just means, though, that we want to really start to pay attention and be aware, if this resonates with you, to what is showing up for us, what's showing up on the collective. This is a month where we can start to really lay that foundation. Again, the 6 and 7 coming together. Who am I? How am I not expressing myself? Why am I not expressing myself? Where has my light been dimmed? Why am I allowing my light to be dimmed? Or why am I allowing myself to not express myself, especially if I know clearly who I am? Again, gently and lovingly, without any judgment. But again, it's going to be kind of, in a sense, a setup, foundational setup for navigating through the next couple months and potentially the rest of this year. Okay, so 6, 7, 7 really represents also, like, speaking our truth. It also represents our aura. So, our presence, our aura is our electromagnetic field. So back again to the immune system, our aura generally naturally operates at several thousand seconds per cycle. So when we start to feel tired, depleted, and this can happen because of mental stress, strain, emotional stress, drain, and then definitely physical. And so that all affects our auric field. Everything that happens to us happens in our aura first. So stronger our auric field is, again, the stronger we can navigate through different energies, just all different things, whether that's physical or whether that's emotional or energetic or mental. So this is also a beautiful month to really, once we know who we are, what do we really want to align to, and starting to give energy to holding that presence. How do we want to express ourselves? If I want to express myself more lovingly or more passionately or more creatively, then I want to take some time this month to really start to nurture that and get into alignment with that, because that becomes my presence. That's the vibration. And that is also the seven. Seven is sound vibration too. So it's, again, our voice. So anytime you want to express yourself, it could be just humming or singing more this month. It could be just speaking your truth. And that doesn't mean you're giving somebody your peace of mind. It means it could be just like saying no. It could be, this doesn't feel good for me, so I'm just gonna, like, do this. Or, I mean, it could be a lot of things. But again, we always want to be mindful of, we are putting energy out there, and whatever that energy is putting out there, it has an impact in a lot of ways. So that speaking our truth doesn't, ultimately we want to speak our truth, and we want to still really be as honoring and respectful and hopefully kind as possible. Okay, so yeah, so a lot of interesting vibrations this month. And again, it's going to be, again, the next few months, it's going to be interesting as we're starting to kind of kick into more of these kind of illumination of these cycles and of these themes. All right, so wishing you a very beautiful and loving month. Namaste.